How to define dog. Now you may be thinking, I don't need to define dog. I know a dog when I see one. That's not always the best way to go, though. Take these two creatures. They're both dogs, even though one has a long nose and the other has a squishy nose. One's floppy ears hang low, the other's hang high. But maybe you're saying, yeah, but everything that looks kind of like that is a dog. Oh, really? Then why is the creature on the left a dog, a Siberian Husky, and the creature on the right not a dog? They look a lot more like each other than the dog looks like the other dogs. And we have more extreme examples. On the left is a dog, a Chihuahua. On the right, not a dog, a Sphynx cat. What are we to make of this? Obviously, I know a dog when I see it isn't the best way to define dog. So what I want you to do when I go to the next screen is pause this video and just take a few minutes to come up with a list of 5 to 10 common traits or characteristics of dogs. Pause. Alright, if you're hearing my voice again, then hopefully you paused the video, made your list, and restarted it. Now, since we can't do what we would do in class, having people work in groups, then coming up with a master list, I'll just give a list of my own that has things that people often come up with. You can compare it to yours. So we have that dogs are mammals, that they have fur or hair. Dogs are canines. They're a specific type of mammal. They have a keen sense of smell. They have 4 legs and a tail. Very importantly, they're domesticated, not wild. And a couple common, if not universal, traits of dogs. Dogs have a hunting instinct, and they tend to get into the trash. Now from these, we can work on putting a definition together. We want to keep a couple concepts in mind. First is the pair of concepts necessary and sufficient. What are necessary traits to be a dog? You have to be this to be a dog. And then, for the definition as a whole, is it sufficient to be a dog? You can have something that's necessary, but it's not enough on its own to make a thing a dog. Let me give an example. To be a dog, it is necessary to be a mammal. All dogs are mammals. But it's not sufficient to be a mammal, because many mammals are not dogs. Being a mammal is a necessary but not sufficient quality for being a dog. Otherwise, we would have giraffe dogs, and giraffes are not dogs. This leads to a related idea. You need a definition that's not too broad, but also not too narrow. It's broad enough that all dogs are included in the definition, but it's narrow enough that anything that's not a dog is excluded from the definition. We'll give an example of that one as well. A dog is a mammal. As we saw before, that's too broad. However, a dog is a domesticated canine that herds sheep. That's too narrow, because it only includes dogs, but it leaves out any dog that is not a herding dog. The dog in the picture is definitely a dog, but it's not the only dog in existence. And just to clarify, those other things are sheep, or non-dog friends. Now, when I go to the next screen, I'm going to ask you to pause again, this time using this idea of not too broad, not too narrow, or necessary and sufficient qualities. Write a one-paragraph definition of a dog. You can base this either on your list of traits or my list from a couple screens back. So a one-paragraph definition of a dog. Pause. All right. If you're hearing my voice, then hopefully you paused the video, wrote your one-paragraph definition of a dog, and have started again. Again, if we were meeting in class, I would kind of crowdsource a definition, but in this case, we'll just look at one I wrote based on that list we looked at before. Although dogs come in various shapes and sizes, they all have some essential traits. Notice that topic sentence. First, dogs are mammals. That is, they are warm-blooded animals who give birth to live young. Most dogs are covered in fur, which is also common for mammals. Even so-called hairless breeds grow a little bit of hair or fur on their bodies. Of course, cats, giraffes, and even humans are mammals, and none of those are dogs. Dogs are a specific kind of mammal, canines. Canines are a group of mammals that include dogs, wolves, coyotes, and foxes. Dogs are in fact descended from wolves, and the two species can still interbreed. Canines are named for their long cuspids or canine teeth. They are natural hunters, though this tendency has been bred out of some dog breeds. Barring accident or injury, you can expect dogs and other canines to have tails and forelegs with paws. They also have a keen sense of smell. The most important difference between dogs and other canines is that dogs are domesticated rather than wild. Dogs have co-evolved with humans for over 30,000 years. As such, they tend to be attuned to human moods and facial expressions, and are prone to seek out human companionship and approval. Some scientists speculate that dogs descended from wolves who were unusually comfortable scavenging near human camps or settlements. That might also explain why dogs have a tendency to dig through the trash. All right, so that paragraph, if you'll notice, it basically goes through the traits that were on our list. Dogs are mammals, dogs are canines, we have tendency toward hunting, keen sense of smell, tails and paws, dogs are domesticated, even dogs get into the trash. I also organized this, going from the broader category of mammals, narrowing it down to canines, and then narrowing it down to dogs being a domesticated canine. So here we have a good one-paragraph definition of a dog that is not too broad, but also not too narrow. You may, though, have had some other traits on your list that did not go into that first paragraph. Things like a dog is man's best friend. Maybe you wrote about seeing eye dogs or other service dogs. Maybe you talked about traits of dogs, like being loyal and protective, or friendly and affectionate. Or things dogs tend to do, like bark at the postal workers. Maybe you mentioned working dogs, hunting dogs, herding dogs, police dogs, fire dogs. Or you talked about dogs being pets, even part of the family. Those are all things that commonly come up on the list of dog traits, even though they don't necessarily apply to all dogs. What's interesting is that these traits taken together actually help us answer a different question than what is a dog. Because these get at why we care about dogs, why dogs are important, why they're significant to us. In other words, these traits help us answer not what is a dog, but why do dogs matter? So now what I want you to do, when I go to the next screen, is hit pause again. And I promise, this is the last time. And this time, using either the traits I had on the last screen or some of the traits you came up with, write a one-paragraph answer to that question. Why do dogs matter? Pause. Alright, if you're hearing my voice, hopefully you have finished your one-paragraph answer to the question, why do dogs matter, based on some of the traits from our lists. Now, let's take a look at the answer I came up with that, and then we'll talk about how these two things fit together. Because dogs have co-evolved with humans for so long, they play important roles in our lives. Certain breeds of dogs are still used for hunting or herding animals like sheep. Dogs can be trained for modern tasks as well. Fire departments and police departments often have dogs to assist them. Indeed, dogs can be trained to sniff out drugs and explosives. Seeing eye dogs provide guidance to blind people, and emotional support dogs provide comfort to people with a range of emotional and psychological ailments. Of course, a dog doesn't need to be a service dog to provide companionship. Many dogs are friendly and affectionate pets. Indeed, people often consider their dogs part of the family. Dogs tend to be loyal to their owners and protective of those they care about. Admittedly, this can result in bad habits, like barking at strangers or even local postal workers. However, even the non-dog owners among us live in a world shaped in part by the human-dog relationship. Alright, so this paragraph answers that question, why do dogs matter? On its own, though, it doesn't define a dog. It doesn't tell us what a dog is. If you were doing a definition of a dog and you just had this, it wouldn't really be a definition at all. However, if we take this paragraph here, we're giving all of the characteristics of a dog, and then right after it, we put this paragraph here. This goes from feeling not really like definition to actually giving us a deeper and stronger definition than if we just had that first paragraph on its own. That is, if we first answer, what is a dog? And then, why do dogs matter? It adds depth to our definition. And we can do this in general. If we follow up, what is it, with why does it matter, we get a deeper, more complex definition. This only works, though, if we do a good job on that first paragraph, on that core definition, to anchor us. It's magic. Or more accurately, it's rhetoric.